Alright, guys, so that'll about do it for this week's podcast. Decent week, again, I would say. And
Mhm.
once again, we want to thank AZX for having a special guest. If you guys didn't catch it, he guest starred on our Western television section when we talked about The Legend of Korra. So it was a lot of fun having that particular segment, and yeah. So
Maybe if we're lucky, you'll get to see him in future Legend of Korra reviews.
yeah, and maybe we might see him with Walking Dead as well, because he also watches that.
So,
We'll see.
tune in.
But otherwise,
Tune in for next week's exciting episode of
yeah,
Mystic Podcast.
yeah, guys. So tune in next week, and the 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 next week, until we either one of us until we die end this podcast, or you die. Either one.
Whichever one comes first.
Whichever comes last.
No, because if they die first, before we die, how are they going to watch the podcast?
Technology.
Yes, they're going to be. Well, yeah, that also depends on where they end up.
True.
You know, if they end up in heaven, they might be able to talk to the Kazuna Stingno writer and find out how it was going to end.
True.
Or if he ended up in hell.
Yeah. Don't want to think about that.
Or it could be the third option, nowhere, if the atheists are right.
Could just be nothing. I don't know.
Lost forever.
Lost in translation.
No, not even lost in translation, just lost. In gone. You just fade into obscurity like ink, and not ink, like Ike,
right.
Which I hate.
Right.
Despite the fact that 10's my favorite game.
And 10% of Fire Emblem characters in general vanish at the very end of their respective games.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they do this and fade into obscurity. But it just pisses me off the most about Ike.
This is the worst.
Literally,
he was never seen again.
Never, ever. Just goes to another continent and just fades to obscurity.
Yes, and if you get an A support with Soren also disappears with Ike. Never seen again.
Well, no, don't you remember he goes over and joins the characters of Fire Emblem 7, remember?
Ah, yes. He is the tech.
And instead of using his beastly magic to just destroy everyone, he just sits back and tells them what to do.
Becomes the tactician for Fire Emblem 7 characters.
Instead of just destroying them all with his powerful wind magic.
Yeah. So, once again, thanks everybody for watching, and we hope to see you guys next week.